Chris Lee, Blayne Gilmer, Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, all here to preview this weekend's game. Texas A&M visits Starkville, Mississippi to face the Bulldogs. Over under on this 45.5. State about a 2.5-point favorite. You can see this game on the SEC Network. Guys, I think this is a fascinating game because it's hard to get a read on. A&M had one of the crazier wins we have seen a team get in the league this year. State beat the brakes off Bowling Green after a disappointing game with LSU the week before. State won this game a year ago. Should be an interesting one this year in Starkville.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be an entertaining game because of how this lines up with the styles of play, right? Because you want to see Mike Leach and company get after it, air raid, and Jimbo Fisher and company. I'm sure they want to be explosive, Blake. It seems like they're a basketball team to kind of put it in your area of expertise. They're playing four corners offense, man. They're trying to run clock, it seems.
One team needs to make this ugly, and I think that's going to be kind of the name of the game here is when you look at what A&M is going to be able to do. I mean, look, we talk about with Smith out for the season now, those kind of things, and we were already kind of looking at this offense, yet they found a way to make those plays against Arkansas. Now, part of that, was Arkansas, that big momentum swing on the fumble, but I was still pretty impressed by A&M making some of the plays they did and Max Johnson being able to, numbers weren't perfect, but I think like when they needed those big plays, like they were able to make some of those big plays. So no doubt it's a clash of styles here. And like you said, Blayne, it's going to be a matter of A&M trying to do this completely different than how Mississippi State wants to do this.
Okay, when A&M's got the ball, Aggies averaging 21.3 points a game. State has been underrated on defense. They got a lot of guys back, averaging 16 points a game given up. The Aggies averaging 8.1 yards per pass. I bet you didn't know that. I didn't know that. State giving up only 5.5 per throw. Aggies averaging 4.4 rush. State giving up 4.1. The numbers are actually a little better per play than you would have thought. A&M just is not on the field for a lot of plays. Max Johnson has made the offense better, Blayne, but I still don't think you're buying in, especially with Anais Smith, who is, along with Devin Achane, just a monumental playmaker for the Aggies. When A&M scores, a lot of times it's one of those guys ripping off a big play, and I think losing him is going to leave a mark.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about a dynamic playmaker, a guy that Anais Smith and Devon Achane are two of the fastest players on the field, whenever they take the field. I mean, they can really move. So losing half of that, a guy who's clearly been your best receiver out there with Evan Stewart having missed some time, that's going to be a big blow. But they have guys like Evan Stewart and Yule Keith Brown that they're going to try to get to step up. Green, the tight end, made some plays against Arkansas, which was impressive. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a nice chess game here between Jimbo Fisher calling the plays for Texas A&M, and then over on the other side, a Zach Arnett-led defense that, Blake, they've got a lot of experience under Zach Arnett and that system with Jet Johnson at linebacker. It's starting to come together for Mississippi State.
Yeah, as Chris said, that's one of the things we talked about in their preview heading into the season, just this defense and what Mississippi State can do. I'll tell you my question here, guys, is when we talk about the clash of styles, right? For this Texas A&M offense, let's say Mississippi State, which we know the air raid, let's say they come out and get off to a great start, pop off 2 touchdowns early. Then for A&M, you think about the pressure that puts on them to have to pass the ball as the game is progressing. Yes, you can still use A-Chain, and they will. Let's be honest, they're going to have to really get creative now because they got to use him as much as possible to give them that big play, I think, ability in that area. But that's the thing here. Like for me, we're going to go on the other side of the ball in a second, but you want to talk about the importance of getting off to a good start. I mean, it's the case in every game, especially in the SEC. But like to me, this is one with what A&M's offense can do. You have to get off to a good start here, and of course, that's going to depend on your defense as well. But I just think that's one where they cannot afford to fall behind big here because I don't know about this offense without Smith, as we said, being able to really accomplish those things through the air, which even before, right, they weren't great at. So yeah.
Chris, it's also A&M's first true road game because I mean they played the neutral site game, and not just a road game. It's a road game with cowbells. Okay.
Yes.
And a lot of them. So
yeah, lots of cowbells in that one. And before we talk about when State's got the ball, when the cowbells will not be ringing, you would think, we got some big games coming up this week. And to add some extra excitement, we at Southeastern 14 will be making some predictions in the Stakes app. That is STAKES. We want to hear if you guys agree or disagree with our takes. By the way, this stuff is all free to join, free to bet. You can win NFTs, so no downside here. Go to playwithstakes.com/14. Again, STAKES. Place your prediction. See if you're with our picks or against them. If you use the invite code Southeastern14 when you sign up, you'll get a double welcome bonus. Okay, State averaging 37.3 points a game. A&M giving up just 11.8. State is averaging 7.2 yards a pass, and of course, Will Rogers has just exceptional completion percentages throughout his career. A&M giving up only 5.2 a pass. We've talked about that is a very, very stingy secondary, one of the country's best. State averaging 3.6 yards a rush, not really what the Bulldogs do. A&M giving up 4.2 a rush, which is a little surprising. But again, I don't think it's going to be a very important dynamic when State runs the ball because I don't think it's going to happen much. It usually doesn't. Blayne, give me your take on this side of the ball.
Yeah, when we're talking about this Mississippi State team, you can see the disparity right there. Their total yards per game, the 431 and 351 of that is passing yards. So they're going to put it in the air. They're going to chuck it around. Will Rogers, one of the better quarterbacks, more experienced quarterbacks in the SEC, and I just think that some things got away from him in that fourth quarter on the road at LSU because you look at the box score of that game. They let LSU score 21 in the fourth, so it got away from them late there. It's not like they've been at any point in this year just dominated by the other side. They kind of gave things away on the road over there at Tiger Stadium. I think the impressive thing here is that you have so many different targets that they're willing to get the ball to. Right here, they've got 7-8 guys that have over 10 receptions on the year. So Will Rogers has a lot of playmakers to distribute the ball to. I know that we said running the ball is not really their bag over there, but it is worth noting that Dylan Johnson, Jaquavius Marks, Mississippi State was the only team coming into the year that had two running backs on the Doak Walker watch list. So
even though they're not really running backs,
they're getting them the ball and swing passes and stuff like that. So Blake, I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic to see the Texas A&M defense, which is stellar by all accounts. It's great, against something that you only see really one time a year in a Mike Leach coach offense.
That's exactly what I was about to say, Blayne. It's the uniqueness of it, and you've certainly seen it before. If you've been there, you saw it last year, and you know what to expect. But yet, when you actually get out there, I think it is something that it is hard to prepare for. And obviously, they haven't seen anyone like that this season to this point. And you want to talk about kind of some of the clash too, what Arkansas could do on the ground versus what Mississippi State's going to do through the air. Different preparation, and so. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, just like any team playing against Mississippi State in terms of how they approach that style of Mike Leach's. So,
okay, gentlemen, if you take the over/under, you take the spread, you do the math. Vegas's predicted final is roughly Mississippi State 24, Texas A&M 22. Blayne, let's start with you. Give me a pick on the game and why.
I just wanted to point this out right here. Vegas has been right on Texas A&M the last 2 weeks, okay? So they've been accurate, and they have the Bulldogs as a home favorite here, 2.5. Who am I to second guess the people in the desert out there, Chris? I mean, they know what they're doing. I just ultimately, if Will Rogers can play clean, and that is a big if, because that's been the bugaboo at times. If he can play clean, I think Mississippi State just scores more than Texas A&M is able to generate, especially with Anaya Smith out. I'm going to say this one gets up into the high 20s, maybe even the low 30s. Heck, I'll go ahead and give Mississippi State. I'm going to say they win this one 31-23 over Texas A&M. I don't think Texas A&M can score more than that.
I really want to pick Texas A&M here because you guys know how I am. I love to take a one-game sample size and just go all in on that. But I told Chris, too, that I think it's clear that A&M is getting better. I just think that matchup-wise, this to me on the road, coming off a big emotional win, losing one of your top playmakers, I think it's understandable why they are the underdog here, just with all of that combined. And I think Mississippi State, kind of got a get-right game last week against Bowling Green. You bounce back here. I think there's a lot of things that they can do, like we said, with that passing offense specifically, that will challenge A&M's defense a bit. But it is all on Will Rogers here. So I think this is a very close game. I'm going to go Mississippi State 27-24 here. Like I said, I think the thing with A&M that just – I want to pick them, but I worry if they get off to a bad start here, can they kind of make those plays offensively to get back into a game that I don't think it's going to get out of hand by any means, but I think the styles clash, as we said, that's this whole thing, that is going to be so important in this game to me.
And your pick is?
I said Mississippi State 27-24 over.
Okay.
You want me to say it again? Just get A&M fans mad at me, Chris? I see what you're doing here. So.
Chris, who are you taking in either the maroon matchup or the burgundy bowl, whatever we're calling this one? I don't know if it's maroon burgundy, but they're both it's both a deep red here.
It is the same color. It really is. Okay, you made an important point on turnovers. Mississippi State is -2, A&M +1, and of course one of those last week went 4-6 the other way, was the biggest play in that game. That said, I have been on State's bandwagon all year. I'm not leaving it unless I've got a reason. I think State's defense is underrated. I'm going in a 1980s style game, Mississippi State 17, Texas A&M 10.
Wow,
that had definitely taken the under there for sure. And man, That would be something else if it ended up like Zach Arnett would be so happy if that ends. And Mike Leach, they may win the game, but Mike Leach might be miserable if it turns out that way. He'd be like, what are we doing here? It's only scoring 17 points. No, but it's going to be great.
All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks to our sponsor, Steaks. If you want to get all these, and we do preview every single SEC game every week, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.